Catherine on Books. It's Catherine, and today I'm going to do a review of my Halloween read, which I read on the 31st of October, and this is A White is for Witching by Helen Yemeni. I hope I've said that right, Yemeni. And very interesting read, just the right read really for Halloween. It was atmospheric, it was scary, but I found it difficult to rate this book. I'm still giving it some thought, you know, sort of several days after finishing it. I'm going to have to look at my notes because I've written quite a lot down and I don't want to miss anything out here really. And you can see there's sort of quite a few thumbnails in here of little bits and bobs that I want to talk about. So I feel that this is a book that can be interpreted differently whoever reads it. I think there's going to be something for everybody in this book. I feel that everybody will take different parts of it and their understanding will be different. At first I thought, oh, you know, perhaps it's me, I'm not understanding it. Because it's very much magical realism based, and I thought, yeah, I'm not used to those sorts of books and perhaps I just don't get it. But the more I've thought about it, the more I've looked into it, I feel that perhaps you're not meant to understand it all in the same way. We all understand things differently. We'll all pick little bits out of it that we want to focus on. So I think that's actually very clever. I've put here, I think it's a matter of interpretation for the individual and therefore very cleverly written. It's about a house in Dover. There have been generations of the Silver family in this house, mainly Silver women. And we are current day, we've got the main protagonist, who is Miranda. I think it's Miranda. I'm hoping I'm in the right book, yes. And there's been Anna, Jennifer, her mother Lily, which were all Silvers, and now Miranda. Now unfortunately early on, Lily, the mother, passes away, and the whole family have to come to terms with grief of losing the mother. Although the mother travelled a lot and wasn't there all that much, obviously, the mourning the loss of the mother. She does have a twin brother called Elliot. And what was I going to say here? Yeah, and the strange things that happen in the house. Very strange, very eerie, floors. There's floors that haven't been found for years that suddenly appear. There's a lift that goes up through all the floors and suddenly it finds a floor nobody's aware of, and people keep fading away and disappearing. All these strange apples keep turning up on people's pillows and what have you. So present day, this is the house is run as a guest house by the father, and it's sort of the life story really of Lily and her brother Elliot following the death of the mother. Now, what I feel that when I was thinking about this is, and I'm sure most of us have thought this, that you walk into a house, say you're going to buy a new house or you're going to go and rent a new house, and you get a feel for whether that house is right for you. You get a feel for whether the essence of the house feels right, whether it feels as if it's being loved, it's being happy, a happy home, or whether really there's something you don't feel easy about. I'm sure we've all felt that. And I think this is what comes across very strongly in this book, is that the essence of everything that's happened within those four walls, within the bricks and mortar, especially down the generations to all the Silver women, still very much prevalent in today. And it's as if these essences are still alive. So it's as if the things that have happened in the past to all the Silver women, they're still very much alive and kicking in this house. And that is why all these strange things, I feel, keep happening there. There are times where you're taken back to Lily, although she's in present day. There's an instance where she's actually taken back in time to an episode in the war, in the Second World War, and everything that's happening around, and she's there. You know, she's actually as if she's alive in that time. So again, to me, that is showing that this essence and, you know, everything that's been passed in the house is still there. Now, I've talked about the weird things that are happening. The other thing is that she has mental ill health problems, does Miranda. She has an eating disorder, and she has a specific eating disorder called pica. Now, I had heard of this, but I've done a bit more research on this, and this is where people eat things that aren't foodstuffs. They're not really things that you should be eating in normal circumstances. So she has a big addiction to eating chalk. I have read that a lot of people eat chalk. Many people eat all sorts of soil, all sorts of substances. So it is a real serious mental ill health problem. It seems that that worsens, obviously, the death of her mother. So she's going through this, and so we're getting information about how this is affecting her behaviour, her eating habits, the effect this has on the rest of the family, especially on her brother. Now, there's this interconnecting story, really. At times you get a brother who becomes the narrator. I found that strange to get used to at first, because you'd read a few sentences in of a new chapter and then think, hang on a minute, this isn't Miranda talking, this is Elliot talking, or this is one of the other Silver women talking. So that took a little bit of getting used to, but you just have to persevere with that, because you soon get to know that pattern. So, as well as the magical realism element to this, I found that there are many social issues, many prevalent social topics of today, modern society. So we do have eating disorders, we have issues to do with the refugee crisis. The house is in Dover, so obviously a big issue down there, because that's the first port of call for many of them. There's interfactional violence, that's between the different races of the asylum seekers, or different tribes is the wrong word, but you can get different class societies, I suppose, of the refugees. There's a lot of violence there, a lot of infighting, and I have actually, this was very interesting to me, because I have actually come across this in my life working in occupational health for industry in this country, and bullying in the workplace is quite rife in some areas, and it's bullying between different factions of the same cultures, the same countries even. So that, I found that interesting. Touched on it, you could even go a whole book about that. School bullying. So in actual fact, there's bullying against Miranda, and that actually makes the pica and the eating disorder worse, because the bullying, it's like a vicious circle. So we've got all these sort of subplots that are going on with the background of all these eerie, creepy things happening in the house. Now, I'm not sure what I feel about Elliot, the brother. There's nothing really sexually shown in their relationship, but it might just be that they're very close because they are twins, and that twins do tend to have this extra bond because they're twins. But before she goes away to university, they share a bed. Now, I find that a bit strange. They're both 18. I don't think many 18-year-old brothers and sisters are, gross, I don't want to be anywhere near my brother or sister. That's terrible. There's nothing sexual that happens, but you wonder if there's an undercurrent going on there. Whether they're just comfort because they've got such a weird life, I don't know, but I find that a bit weird. While she's at university, Miranda gets very friendly with a girl called Ore. And Ore, lovely character, but has her own issues. She's been adopted by a white family. She herself is black. She's been adopted by a white family in a village setting. The farmers very much, it doesn't actually say it, but it may even well, I get the impression that perhaps they've never really had much dealings with multicultural, different people from different cultures, or even met black people before. It's so insular, I feel. There's a lot of racism, undercurrent racism also going on in this book, even from Ore's cousins, you know, sort of further down the line, which you know, I thought was somebody needed to stamp on that and stop that. I certainly wouldn't be allowing it, you know, of my children to be treated like that from family members. So you've got this undercurrent of racism going on. And the other thing that you start to find is that these silver women, in the essence of the house, don't want anybody else but silver women living there. So the guests, the housekeeper, visitors, all these weird things start happening to them, so they feel so uncomfortable they leave. Now, I just want to, I found some of the descriptions in this book were fabulous. So I just want to read a bit of a passage out. You know me for reading things out. Let's have a look. This is to do with the library as well, so I thought that was quite appropriate. Right, it says, the university library is a mouth shut tight, each tooth a book, each book growing over, under and behind the other. The writing desks are placed in front of bookshelves, some of them between bookshelves, so that whoever is sitting at the desk gets a feeling of something dusty, intangible and unspeakably powerful, something like God watching them through the tiny gaps in the shelves. I think that's amazing. I love that section. So yeah, some fantastic descriptions in there. The other thing that I'd really like to point out that I found was very interesting and I really enjoyed was the fact that some of the paragraphs ended with just one word on the line below. And then that one word formed the first word of the next sentence when you move to a new narrative, or whether we're talking about something completely different. So I hope that makes sense. I'm just going to read out an example of this, probably a bit more clear than how I've explained it. A building of this size would not blend on the Western Heights if it was white. Then you use the white again. So white was the colour that Anna Good was afraid to wear. And I love that. She does that quite often throughout this. I find that a very interesting style of writing. I've not come across that before. I really enjoyed it. So overall, there's so much to talk about. I don't want to give too much away. It's difficult to talk about this book, give it a review, without giving too many spoilers, you know, without putting spoilers in it. Very, very interesting book. I ended up, what I've put here is, while thinking about the rating for this, I'm not sure. This is how I wrote this a few days ago. Did I enjoy it? I'm not sure. I've put the writing is very eloquent, at times very descriptive. And I can't say that I enjoyed it. It's a different... I did enjoy it, but it wasn't my normal type of book really. But I'm glad I've read it. It's taken me out of my comfort zone, and I think it was very skillfully written. I think it was amazing. It left me feeling, right, this is what I've put here. It's creepy. Is it creepy? It's scary. It's weird. Now, does Miranda have a severe mental illness which is passed down through the generations of women that is making her imagine all this that's going on. I've put here, perhaps the whole book is just a big schizophrenic episode where everything's being imagined. Unfortunately for people that suffer from that, you know, it must be, they have quite scary visions of things. So I wondered if that was the case. The other side is that I was wondering whether that actually this is definitely a haunted property and the Silver Women just won't go away. Yeah, really got me thinking. I'm still thinking about it. I'm sure I'll be thinking about it for quite some while to come. I've rated it 5 stars. The only little section that I felt uncomfortable with was there was a whole paragraph which was very racist, and I understand why she put it in there, because, you know, it was proving a point of this real nastiness that's going on around. The way it was written, I didn't feel comfortable reading it, but that was just a minor point, and that was my own personal point of view on it. So yes, 5 stars. Real excellent book. I think you should, well worth a read. I'd be interested to see what everybody else thinks of this, to prove, not to prove, but to see if I'm right that everybody will take something different from this and see it in a different way. So bye for now.